All right, so we talked about on the on on the last episodes. We talk about Spurs use a dominant second half against the Rockets on the Wednesday night game. Lakers get smashed by the Cavs 2 days ago, and also we talked about Bill Belichick's Hall of Fame snub. It's going to continue brewing. Here we'll talk about Giannis leaving Milwaukee. And we also have Cowboys and Eagles try and find answers this offseason from yesterday. So let's see what's coming up on JDB's morning cap. And we say happy Friday. It's the final Friday of the month of January. Today is January 30th, 2026. It's not Super Bowl weekend just yet. Next week will be a Super Bowl weekend. NFL awards coming out next week. Super Bowl media is coming out. Pro Bowl starts next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday in Santa Clara. And Super Bowl is also in Santa Clara next weekend. So I will do this. I will preview Seahawks Patriots throughout this week. Throughout next week, actually. So it's really exciting moment in sports. One of the biggest stage in the NFL is Super Bowl. So I don't know how excited I am. We can get to the bottom of this here. All right, so now let's get this show started, shall we? We did have breaking news in the NFL. We have two of them. The Eagles have found their offensive coordinator, former Packers offensive coordinator, Sean Manaman. Actually, Sean Manaman is the new Eagles offensive coordinator. Former Buccaneers offensive coordinator Josh Grizzard is now a pass game coordinator for the Eagles. So I got to ask this question about hiring these two offensive coaches of Philadelphia. Has Philadelphia offensive coaches gotten better or gotten worse? Technically, it's gotten better. I think it's going to get better. And because Sean Manaman is the guy who worked with Jordan Love. And Matt LaFleur has signaled most of his play calls. But now Nick Sirianni of the Philadelphia Eagles have hired two offensive assistants, Grizzard and Manaman. I mean, I believe they provide the spark, what they needed. Like I said, they have 5 offensive coordinators over the last 5 years. We had Shane Steichen as your play caller. You had Brian Johnson as your play caller. You had Frank Wright as your play caller. You had Kellen Moore as your play caller. And then you got Kevin Potolo as your play caller. I mean, those are the 5 offensive coaches over the last 5 years. I mean, it is a challenging time. There is no long-term solution for Philadelphia, who will be remaining as OC. They're just trying to find answers. But those are the situations you're going to see. But for Sean Manaman, I think this is the right fit. Hopefully they can help Jalen Hurts and the rest of their Eagles' offense. The only question I'm having, Josh Grizzard is going to help Jalen Hurts. That's why he's a quarterback. So, as far as the play calling, decision making is concerned, situations on third down, situations on fourth down, those are the key plays for the Philadelphia Eagles you gotta have. I mean, so by the numbers, so let's revisit the Eagles' offensive rankings from last season. Last year, they finished 24th in total offensive yards, 23rd in pass yardage, 18th in rushing yardage, 19th in points for, 19th in points scored. They only benefit 379 points. Eagles average just 22 points a game offensively. They have not scored a ton of points. Eagles converted 37% of third downs, which is 24th in the NFL. They converted just 52% of fourth downs, which is 9th in the NFL. That's not good. That's not that good. Red zone, they converted 71% of their touchdowns, which is the best in the NFL. So that's the area they're actually good at. The area they're also good at, they have the fourth fewest giveaways in the NFL. They only give the ball away just 15 times. And they're +6 in turnover differential. So they're not giving the ball away. They're not taking the ball away either. So they only generate 21 turnovers. That's not that many. But it's a good category. It's only 10th in the NFL, but 21 seems a lot, but it's not that much. So hopefully they can get back on track. But the Eagles' overall offense, like I said, is not that good. The Eagles' offense isn't that good. And the Eagles have the fewest second half points in the NFL. The Eagles only average 10 points a game in the entire second half, which is bad for 26th in the league. And second half point differential is a -1. They had some blown leads, end up losing the game. They're unable to finish drives on the final drives of the game. Defense couldn't get some timely stops when they needed to. That's why the Eagles' offense has been frustrated. And Jalen Hurts has been frustrated as far as clutch moments. They just aren't able to come through in the clutch. Either when you had the lead, or when you're tied, or when you're trailing. You can't have, it's hard to situate this. It is really hard to situate. Technically, you just don't have enough firepower to come away with the W. But the good news is you won 11 games. And just enough to win it. And it was enough to win the NFC East for the second consecutive year. On the previous season, Eagles were not a good first half team, but the Eagles were a great second half team. This year, the Eagles were a good first half team, but a bad second half team. That's a 2-year difference. That's the reason why you lost 6 games. You can't execute offensively in the second half. I mean, Philadelphia has to play better. They got to straighten this out. You put yourself in a really, really bad spot. Clearly, you're putting yourself in a really bad spot. If you're the Philadelphia Eagles. Now Josh Grizzard and Sean Manaman. Sean Manaman is the offensive coordinator now for the Eagles. Josh Grizzard, passing game coordinator with the Eagles. Numbers from the previous season has been significantly declined. That's why the Eagles, defending Super Bowl champs, have been completely underperformed. They've been underperformed offensively, and that cost your repeat chances and costing your deep playoff run. Despite they've been going through offensive struggles, injuries, sideline distractions from A.J. Brown. Nick Sirianni got into A.J. Brown's face during the NFC wild card game. NFC wild card game? Really? Heated. I mean, Nick Sirianni has been. Yeah, he was heated at A.J. Brown. Nick Sirianni, I don't need this ST right now. That's what he said. But this is a big problem now. Can the Eagles figure things out this offseason? I know the Eagles have found their offensive coordinator, and they also found their pass game coordinator. So that is a huge step forward for Philadelphia going to next season. That would be the best case scenario to get to this point and get to the opportunity to make with it. I said there's a little chance. I'm just saying, there's a little chance you can get everything under in order. This is what happens. You put yourself in a really, really bad spot for the Philadelphia Eagles. When you go into the playoffs, you're just getting right behind it. And then you can see Philadelphia. I said the Eagles do not have enough firepower to go to the playoffs. They have no right to go to the playoffs next year if they don't turn this offense around. The offense don't turn it around. This offense in 2025-26 season is absolutely problematic. It's clearly problematic for the Philadelphia Eagles. So hopefully the Eagles offense will renew. They try to get some guys recruiting, sign free agent signings, or somebody from the draft on the offensive side of the ball. I think it's going to help Philadelphia's chances to get returned back to the playoffs in 2026-27 season. It is not going to be an easy offseason for Philadelphia and Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, and A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's future is looming large. A.J. Brown's future is looming large because I believe these guys can hang his own hat on. Maybe that would be an issue for a really, really long time. It's hard. You talk about AJ Brown's future. Even he's not happy with the team. He's not getting a lot of touches. That's an issue. If you don't get a lot of touches, it's a problem now. It is a problem. All right, so let's move on. What's coming up in our JDB's morning cap? The Minnesota Timberwolves dominates and beats the defending NBA champs, the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll talk about that. Also coming up, Bill Belichick trying to find answers after first-ballot Hall of Fame was snubbed. And then I have not mentioned about college basketball through the first few weeks, but I will talk college basketball. Number 1 seed region updates. Who will be the number 1 seed in each region? Location hasn't been found yet in March Madness. And it's all coming up next. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back here on JDB's Morning Cap. Thunder squared off the Timberwolves last night, and the Minnesota Timberwolves able to put themselves in big positions. The Wolves knocked 22 made threes out of 47 attempts, which is 47% from downtown. And guess who's the leading scorer that night for the Minnesota Timberwolves? Anthony Edwards had 26 points, finishing 5 rebounds and 5 assists and 2 steals. Meanwhile, Jaden McDaniels had 21 points, 5 made threes without a miss. It's as the Timberwolves come away with a 123-111 win over the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, oh, by the way, the Wolves defense forced 15 Thunder turnovers, and Wolves have 12 steals as well. So, let's get to the bottom of it on this one here. So, what impressed the Minnesota Timberwolves the most in a win last night? It's physicality for Minnesota. How they won this game yesterday. It's been physicality on the defensive side of the ball. Chris Finch, he's a good defensive-minded coach. He's a good defensive-minded coach. They want to teach how to play a good brand of defensive basketball. And when you talk about forcing turnovers, forcing a Thunder at issue, in fact, Thunder doesn't have Jalen Williams for a while. They were just relying on SGA. He had 30 points, by the way, last night. But no other Thunder players have shown up. We'll get to that in a second. You hold just 2 players to score over at least 15 points. Holmgren and SGA both had at least 15 points in that game. But how many players for the Wolves had double figures? Randall, McDaniels, Gobert, Edwards, DiVincenzo, and Reed. They have 6, I believe there's, okay, let me try this again. Reed, DiVincenzo, Edwards, Gobert, McDaniels, and Randall. 6 players have scored within double figures. And how many players who hit at least 1 3-pointer? Randall, 2. McDaniels, 5. He didn't miss. Anthony Edwards, 4. DiVincenzo, 3. Naz Reid, also 4. 5 players have knocked down at least one three-pointer. 5 main players who's a prolific three-point shooter, or we talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves. They want to knock down some threes. That's something they're going to hang their hats on in the playoffs. When I look for Minnesota right now, they could be a full contention. They could be number 6. I know they've been going through some ups and downs. They have dealing with their fourth quarter challenges. And now the Wolves are now the number 5 seed with that win last night. I believe it's based on percentage points. So now if the season had ended today, they will have to face the Rockets in the first round. Rockets have a tiebreaker based on percentage points. Even though Wolves have won one more game than Houston, but the percentage points is advantage to Houston. So how's this gonna pan out? Wolves will play the Grizzlies tomorrow. Excuse me. Rockets will host the Mavericks tomorrow. That's a crucial game coming up. So that I know how excited I am this weekend in NBA. But Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm really impressed what they have done so far. So if they continue to trend this up, then there's a chance they could be the number 3, number 4 seed by the end of the season. The Western Conference is pretty darn good. Western Conference is just too damn good. Every Western Conference team, the first 10 teams have recorded at least 22 wins. Clippers, Blazers, Warriors, Suns, Lakers, Wolves, Rockets, Nuggets, Spurs, and the Thunder. Every Western Conference team have at least 22 wins. Thunder has 38 of them. Leads the West. Best record in the league, by the way. Remain the best record in the league. That remains to be seen. All right, let's switch gears. The Oklahoma City Thunder. With that loss, they have now lost 3 of their last 4, and the offense seemed to be disappeared. SGA did finish 30 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, but he did have 5 turnovers. Chet Holmgren with 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 blocks. Wasn't enough. But Thunder tried to get him out of a comeback, but the Wolves just kept on putting teams away. Which means they have an answer, time and time again. Well, the Thunder offense, they did shoot 48%, which is not that bad, but the defense was a big problem last night. Defense was a big problem yesterday in a 12-point loss. Luckily they didn't get blown out. They only lost by 12. They only lost by 12. It could have been worse. But the Thunder got out to a big hole. They were down as many as 22 points. In fact, Thunder had never led the entire 48-minute basketball game. So the game went wire to wire for the entire 48 minutes. Wolves have led from the entire tip-off from the entire opening tip-off. That's it. Minnesota took control all night long. And the Thunder defense had no answers. Thunder defense is still the best in the league by far, but they have not played. It was a tough night. It was a tough night last night. Well, I know Thunder has dropped 3 of the last 4. They still don't have Jalen Williams because of the injury. They need to get J-Dub healthy by the time after the All-Star break. They need Jalen Williams to come back. If Jalen Williams comes back, they're going to get rolling again down the stretch. They could be 66-16. At worst, they could be 62-20. And I'm technically not sure if the Thunder will be holding on to the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. I'm not sure. I think they will. Thunder will have a couple of days off, and then they're at Denver on the 1st of February. So Thunder in the month of January, it hasn't been strong. So I'm going to count this games out loud in the month of January. They beat the Warriors on January 2nd, 1-0. They lost to the Suns, 1-1. Lost to the Hornets, 1-2. Beat the Jazz, 2-2. Beat the Grizzlies, 3-2. Beat the Heat, 4-2. Beat the Spurs, 5-2. Beat the Rockets, 6-2. Lost to the Heat, 6-3. Beat the Cavs, 7-3. Beat the Bucks, 8-3. Lose to the Pacers, 8-4. Lose to the Raptors, 8-5. Beat the Pelicans, 9-5. Lost to Thunder went 9-6 in the month of January. That is not a good month. That is not a good month for Mark Daigneault. Thunder team. They gotta be better. They had some bad losses. They lost to the worst team in basketball, the Indiana Pacers, rematch from last year's NBA Finals. It's an issue. All right, so coming up next, Bill Belichick is still searching for answers after he was snubbed to become a National Football, Pro Football first-ballot Hall of Fame. Also coming up, we will talk the number 1 seeds of each region in college basketball. We'll update that as well. Also, the final 2 head coaching spots of the teams are up for grabs. And then we'll preview the Sunday night basketball game on Sunday. We'll step away in about 3 to 5 minutes. We'll be right back, y'all. Welcome back here as Bill Belichick is trying to find answers right now. Here, so I'm gonna explain for so I gotta ask this question right now down there. Why is Bill Belichick not in the Hall of Fame? And we said this all over and over again, but I do know this. I love Bill Belichick. I respect him, but I do not like the fact that the scandal or the incidents have took place in the certain years. We know the Spygate incident in 2007. We know the Deflategate in 2015. Those are the issues. Those are a lot of issues in the NFL. Mike Vrabel shocks. He's a former player who coached with Mike Vrabel that he got into the Super Bowl. Maybe it's a problem right now for Bill Belichick. I mean, it feels like the Patriots guys don't seem to get along. It's hard. It's hard now. You gotta give Belichick an opportunity. He's won 6 Super Bowls. He's the greatest coach ever. He's won more division titles than any other coach in the history of the NFL. He has more Super Bowl appearances than any coach in the history of the NFL. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick has spent more seasons as quarterback and head coaching duo in the Super Bowl era. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. The next one is Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They've been together as a starter and the full-time head coach for over the last 12 years now. Not 12 years. 8 years, something like that. 8-9 years between Mahomes and Reid. Even he drafted Mahomes in 2017. But Belichick, you know, it's about Belichick and Brady, the era. In the same era, they're the best quarterback and head coaching duo in the history of the game. Both Brady and Belichick have won 6 Super Bowls together. And Tom Brady has accounted some of these Super Bowl MVPs. That's what Tom Brady and Bill Belichick is all about. They want a championship legacy. This is a legacy for Belichick, who wants to play good, solid brand of football. It's a mutual respect. You've got to respect everything that you do. You know how much it really hurts. How much it really hurts Bill Belichick. Those are the situations you gotta make. So, in case you missed what happened yesterday, this is an issue right now in sports. Barrett Bonds not being an MLB, National Baseball Hall of Fame. That's a shocking one. Which one's worse, Belichick or Bonds? Maybe Bonds was worse. He should have been in the Hall of Fame. He hit over 700 home runs. Bill Belichick hit Barry Bonds hit like 72 home runs. And how is he not in the Hall of Fame? That is 100% disappointment. And then Bill Belichick not being the first-ballot Hall of Fame is proving to be bad right now. Because I'm clearly in a shocking mode right now. Look at the best coaches in the NFL over the last 20 years. If I could pick top 20 coaches over the last 20 years, Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, Tony Dungy, John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, Mike McCarthy, Jim Harbaugh. Who else? Once I get to these best coaches over the left, Sean Payton, there you go, Sean Payton. And then you got John Gruden And then you got Dick Vermeil. And then you got somebody who loves to coach a brand of football. So, let's see, best NFL coaches in the last 20 years. Like I said, it's Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin, Pete Carroll, John Harbaugh, Sean Payton. So how about this? Bill Belichick won 6 Super Bowls. Andy Reid, 3. Actually, yeah, he won 3 Super Bowls with the Chiefs. Mike Tomlin won a Super Bowl with the Steelers, and with no losing season in 19 years. John Harbaugh won a Super Bowl in 2012-13. Sean Payton won a Super Bowl with the Saints. Pete Carroll won a Super Bowl with the Seahawks. Sean McVay won a Super Bowl with the Rams. The best winning percentage head coach has not won a Super Bowl, Jim Harbaugh. He made a Super Bowl, but he did not win. Matt LaFleur never made a Super Bowl. Nick Sirianni actually won a Super Bowl. So I put Nick Sirianni on that list too. At least he won a Super Bowl with it. He has 2 Super Bowl appearances as a young head coach. We talk about best head coaches over the last 20 years. So that is a big deal. It is a big deal. Best NFL quarterbacks over the last 20 years since 2005. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Who else? Phillip Rivers. Who else has been the best quarterback over the last 20 years? That, as far as I know. So, who else has been the best quarterback over the last 20 years that I didn't get to mention? Eli Manning. Yeah, Eli Manning. So those are the top quarterbacks. Who's the GOAT in the NFL of all time? Best GOAT quarterback of all time. Tom Brady. Second GOAT, Patrick Mahomes. He's won 3 Super Bowls. The top 2 GOATs of the quarterback in the NFL is Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. Both Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes have won at least 3 Super Bowls. Actually, take that back. Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes, and Tom Brady has won at least 2 Super Bowls and at least 1 Super Bowl MVP. 3 quarterbacks have won at least 1 Super Bowl MVP. Peyton Manning has won 1. Patrick Mahomes has all 3. Tom Brady has, I believe, 5 out of 7. Tom Brady, number of Super Bowl MVPs. He has 7 Super Bowl rings, 6 with the Patriots. He has 5 Super Bowl MVPs out of 7 Super Bowl wins, which is pretty good. That's great. The most passing yards in his 5 Super Bowl MVPs was 466 in Super Bowl 51. The team came back from 28-3 down. And Bill Belichick was still coaching at the time. But you talk about Bill Belichick being a snub at first ballot Hall of Fame is not a good look. It's definitely not a good look. It's worse. But in that situation, you should take the situation somewhere else. You should take the situation somewhere else. That's a big concern. But I do say this. What do you think about Bill Belichick? You think it's gonna hurt them the most? Yeah, it is gonna hurt. This one will hurt themselves the most. Because of that, performance like this is going to be an issue. And that's been a different story so far. So let's see what Colin Cowherd has to say about this on the Colin Cowherd show from yesterday. Why Bill Belichick has not been in the Hall of Fame.
Jimmy Johnson's yelling, screaming, throwing pots and pans. Bill Belichick, in his first year of eligibility, did not get voted into the NFL Hall of Fame. Now, let's start with this. He will. He's a Hall of Famer. He'll get in. And we don't know that he didn't get 39 of the 50 votes. I'm sure he got a majority. So let's just start talking about, is it possible that what I'm about to explain to you went into consideration? Let me start with this. The winningest coach of all time, Don Shula, got to a Super Bowl with Dan Marino, David Woodley, and Earl Morrall. He had to wait 5 years until he was even eligible for the Hall of Fame. But because of a tweak this year in the voting, and I don't like this at all, coaches now can get in 1 year removed from being out of the league. So the greatest players can't, but coaches can? Is it possible that a handful of voters, 11, 12 voters, went timeout? The classiest guy ever, the winningest guy ever, the guy Belichick's been chasing forever, Don Shula, had to wait 5 years to even be eligible. And now because of a weird tweak, I got to put Belichick, who was a jerk forever, and that does matter. I'll get to that later. Some of these voters are writers. I'm going to put him in day one? Nah, I'll put him in next year. That gets me to the second part of this. If you take out one superstar quarterback in Belichick's career, he has a winning percentage below Jerry Glanville and equal to Anthony Lynn. With Brady, his team scored almost 29 points a game, and he won 77% of his games. Without Brady, they scored 19 points, and he wins 44%. And not only that, he was fired in Cleveland without him, was about to get fired in New England before Drew Bledsoe got hurt, and then the minute Brady left, he put a defensive coordinator in at OC. In the 1 year, and think about this, Mike Vrabel is getting to a Super Bowl with Drake May, who's not even a finished product, the current New England coach. Mike Vrabel got a number 1 seed with Ryan Tannehill, the 17th best quarterback in the league. Okay, Brady leaves, and they can't score, they don't get offense, they're the worst drafting team in the league. I mean, Bill Parcells is his mentor. He won Super Bowls with Jeff Hostetler and Phil Simms. Was Belichick's mentor. He had to wait forever. Bill Parcells. Ask yourself, if there was a great movie director who made 20 movies, In 12 of them, he had a superstar actor, and they won Oscars, and they were amazing. In the 8 other movies, he didn't have that one superstar actor, and they were unwatchable. Drek, Porky's 2. Would it give you pause for 5 minutes to go, was it the director or the actor? Even with a stacked roster, the 1 year Brady got hurt, they couldn't make the playoffs. And again, Vrabel got a #1 seed with Ryan Tannehill. Okay, and here's the third part. I'm just asking you to consider it because Belichick is a Hall of Famer and will get in. The third part, what is the most valuable week of the year in pro football? What is the one week of the year that the league values the most? Super Bowl week. And in 2007, it was tarnished because Belichick footage of him taping another team. And Roger Goodell had to go to the Super Bowl and all week long address Belichick's cheating. Folks, you successful men out there is a tax in life. You can be a great husband for 45 years, but if your wife finds that one of those years you were cheating, you will sleep on the couch at minimum. There is a tax to pay if the most valuable week of the year, you blew it up once because you were taping another team.
So tense up.
So I'm saying, so let me say this about this. We talk about you had so many Super Bowls, so many iconic moments. Then this is a different moment that you completely expected. But the first ballot Hall of Fame is always important in your life. This is a situation that you gotta use. I mean, the entire process. Maybe it's gonna be a problem. Maybe Bill Parcells is Bill Belichick's mentor. I don't have an issue with that. There's nothing you can completely take away from this. So let's finish this video.
In review, Don Shula had to wait 5 years. Parcells, your mentor, waited forever. Your winning percentage is 44% without Brady. And you blew up a Super Bowl week. If you have several asterisks by your name, is it okay to pause for a year? My staff also did an interesting thing this morning. We went and looked at some of the other great coaches to see how quickly they got in. Vince Lombardi, you know, the guy they named the trophy after, did not get in first year eligible. Bill Walsh, the most innovative coach in the history of the league, half the league uses his offense, did not get in first year eligible. Joe Gibbs, in unquestionably 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. The most underrated coach in the history of the league, Joe Gibbs, first year eligibility, doesn't get in. Jimmy Johnson waited forever. Parcells waited. Andy Reid will have to wait. But because they tweaked, and I don't agree with this, they tweaked the voting so that coaches can now get right in. Somebody said, Walsh didn't get in, Lombardi didn't get in, Gibbs didn't get in. Make him wait a year. They may not be punishing Belichick, they're punishing the voting methodology. So, again, let's not argue that Bill is a Hall of Fame coach. Yes, absolutely, I would have voted him in. But when you change the voting methodology, I mean, this is what Biden and Trump argue. Lines, where do you vote, who's voting for who's what? I mean, we can't even get our presidential election voting right. You cheated, you rigged it, I mean, Hall of Fame voting's always been wonky. I mean, baseball's got a morality clause, football doesn't. But when you change it, sometimes stuff like this happens. He's getting in, But if you take a deep breath, I think you have to, when Brady went to Tampa, won a Super Bowl, and Bills teams were awful. DC to OC. Doesn't that make you pause a little bit? I mean, what makes Christopher Nolan and Spielberg and the great directors so amazing? They use all sorts of actors and writers, and they can do it. That's what makes Joe Gibbs and Parcells and the great coach Bill Walsh. And when Andy Reid gets to Super Bowls with guys not named Mahomes, Andy Reid wins with everybody. You take out Brady, you can't pause for a year and go, Again, you guys are all freaking out. He's getting in. He deserves to be in. But you start looking at the methodology. I do not like the idea that players have to wait for half a decade to be eligible and coaches can get in immediately. That makes no... It's a players' league, not a coaches' league. I mean, I love Andy Reid. He wasn't hoisting trophies till Mahomes. How about this? Bill can get in once Tom's in. Since there's an argument to be made, he was going to get fired, Belichick, in New England, would have failed at both jobs, had a surly reputation, and may have never had any of this debate because he didn't get another head job. Brady's eligible in what, 2028? Bill's eligible now? You like that? I don't like that.
Okay, so let me back up for one more minute here. So about Bill Belichick, let's just say this: Don Shula had to wait for this to get to the Hall of Fame, about 5 years removed. But Bill Belichick may take more than 5 years to get into a Pro Football Hall of Fame. This is a really tough spot for the Patriots fans. Hopefully, they will get to this one next year or something beyond that. I'm gonna see how that pans out for the rest of this next few years. See how it. All right, so coming up, we're gonna check college. We're gonna talk some college basketball. All for the number one seeds of each region. We'll update that. Also coming up, the two coaching spots are up for grabs, and then we'll preview Sunday night basketball between these two games. We'll step away in 3 minutes.